Hello, everyone. Wow, Applied Digital. What is going on? And then I'm gonna talk. I was gonna talk about this sooner. I apologize, but Richtech Robotics. So I want to talk about these two stocks. I mean, I've talked about them obviously quite a bit. Applied Digital a lot here for most of the year, but Richtech here is really the last month here that this has come up with a lot of the information. So, yeah. Hi everyone. How you doing? Oh my God, where do we start? So this has obviously been a crazy week in the market. The market's hit all new high again. Job reports last week, they were terrible. What does that tell us? It tells us this week, then, rate cuts are looking more like they're going to happen. Then this week, tariff news came out, or not the tariff news, but essentially the inflation to say that tariffs weren't as bad as they should be at this moment. So that's going to tell the feds, hey, okay, let's do a rate cut now. Next week, by Wednesday, we should know how many rate cuts, what kind of rate cut, all that kind of stuff. So next week, the market could be just another, at least 1 or 2 days could be just completely a whole new high in the market. So here we go. Applied Digital almost to $19. I mean, this is crazy. This is absolutely freaking nuts. What is going on right now? So I talked about this last week with Applied Digital. I was like, don't be surprised to see this thing really push back up here. And, I'm not, I guess I'm shocked at how much it shot up. I was thinking like 16, 17 is pretty easy to get back to at this point, especially with the run in the market. And wow, holy smokes, man, this is crazy. So, we'll see where it goes from here. I think by the end of the year, I said this last time, I think, a few videos ago, but, I think Applied Digital can obviously close out the year, but with $20 easily, and really anchor in somewhere around $17 to $20, maybe 16 being the real bad day. But, with what's going on with the revenue over there at Applied Digital, it's turning some heads, obviously, and that's a big thing that's been going on. But the other thing that has happened here of late, the stock momentum is largely a continuation from a previous day's news. I'm reading this thing I put up here. So, agreement with CoreWeave bought Applied Digital's total contract lease revenue to approximately $11 billion. So you can read this is up here. So essentially, this is good. This is good news for Applied Digital, and it's going to allow more money to be pushed into the company, essentially. So it's wild turn of events. What's going on here? So it's telling investors, hey, now they've got even more money to leave in the bank. This is very interesting. I swear, like I've been preaching this, but I think these digital companies like this are going to be a huge push in the market here sooner than later. And it sounds weird because I think for a lot of people, they hear the word, databases. What I mean is databases, that these databases are going to be a huge push in the market. But when people hear about databases, they go, that sounds kind of boring. Well, it kind of is in a way. I get that it's not that fancy, it's not that attractive for most investors, but they're making a lot of money. That's what's really interesting. And when a company makes a lot of money, investors look at it 100%. So I've said this time and time again with Applied Digital here, the last few quarterlies have been down, but this year overall has been more money than they've ever made, essentially. Now, that last quarterly was a little lower than we wanted, but two, we should know more about their more quarterlies that will be coming out here soon, soon here in October. But what we could see happen is that maybe they start pushing back up into this $40, $50 million quarterly range. That would be big. That would be really big. So the rest of the year will really tell the tape if Applied Digital can really end out the year here at a solid, 17, 20 plus. I think we got to keep watching Applied Digital here. I think this is just such a interesting developing situation, what's going on with the stock. And it's funny too, because I don't know if anybody else is talking about Applied Digital. I don't know why I'm whispering, like nobody's gonna hear me, but I don't really know if anybody else is talking about Applied Digital on YouTube. I really don't, because I never see it on there. So when I talk about it, I'm kind of shocked that people even look at it, because usually, you gotta talk about what's hot on the YouTube, but I try to diverse in different things here, let people see things. But yeah, friends, congratulations to everybody that had a great week in Applied Digital, whether you took profits or you held out for more, who knows. But this was good news this week for Applied Digital, 100%. I mean, just I'm really interested about the future and momentum of databases, but obviously Applied Digital too, how much more aggressive this can get at a short rate, but at a fast and short rate here, essentially what I'm trying to say. Yeah, just wow. Wow. Amazing. So short and sweet to the point there with Applied Digital, but talking about Richtech. Now, I was going to talk about this company sooner. I forgot. I just got kind of caught up with some other stocks here this week. But I've talked about this company too. Obviously, had a big push with NVIDIA, all that kind of stuff. But this company here, they have been doing things, and they just had this deal take place. But I really think that I've said this time and time again, obviously I talked about, databases being a big thing, and I do think databases will be a big thing in the market here at some point in the future with the market. But what I think the next big thing is going to be in this market, and I think it's coming next year here. I think 2026 is going to be the year where we see a lot of robotic stocks go flipping stupid crazy, even ones that aren't even making that much money or having some financial problems, which would be Richtech. Now, I don't say it to be mean towards Richtech, but this is a newer company, trying to get their feet going here. They're not making, they're not killing quarterlies here, but they're making money, but they're a newer company. So I say all that to say that they're obviously heading in the right direction. They're getting deals, they're getting attention. This is becoming a very fast-paced moving situation with this company right now. So with them getting this pilot program that's that's happening with them right now with this dealership locations, this is now a situation where the mass is starting to come in here. I think, even crazy enough to say, especially when you look at quarterlies and all that kind of stuff, that Richtech here could be more of a growing company than Applied Digital faster, because I do believe that with Tesla coming out with their robots here next year, essentially, Optimus, that's going to really start something, and it's going to create a feeding frenzy where people see, when they start to see what these robots are bringing in money wise, then people are going to start looking at these low cap stocks, these companies that are working with robotics or making robotics themselves. Tesla's not really the only one here. There's other, people that have, their hands in the fire here. But I think there's going to be a theme. There's a theme in every market every year, but I think next year could really push into robotics. And yeah, I mean, you do what you want to do here, decide where you want to be. But when we look at the stock, I mean, this is such a healthy little stock right now, what's going on with it. So it had a push here just, weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, and then we had a huge sell-off back to that 260, but, a lot of the market sold off at that point. And then we kind of had this small little teacup situation occur here where, cup and handle here, boom, pushing back up in almost this 370 zone. So it's pretty amazing what's going on over here. Now, will it push more? I mean, if they keep getting news, if they keep getting some aggressive news here, I mean, this is going to keep pushing up here just off hype, just off FOMO, just off people wanting to be a part of what's going on with it. So, I can't tell you what exactly financials by the end of the year, what both these companies are going to be doing. I think they are very interesting plays into the future, and they're not really being talked about. I don't even know who's talking about, Richtech Robotics here. I don't know if anybody's talking about it. It doesn't mean that I'm special or anything. I'm just telling you, like, I don't know if anybody else is talking about it. But it's something that you should pay attention to. It's interesting to know about, because this could be a very heavy-handed conversation with this company sooner than people think. And like I said, there's a theme in every market for every year. Last year was chips. This year's very much software, security, and next year it will more than likely carry into those things will carry into 2026. But two, I think something else will be adopted into the feeding frenzy of the stock market next year, and more than likely it could be intelligence, robotic intelligence. So artificial intelligence. Yeah. Friends, I wish you all the best of luck with these. I am very, very excited about the stock market. I think we are about to see insane things happen this coming week, and this coming week is really going to tell us what we're looking at for the rest of the year. It's almost like a cheat card what we're about to have. Does that make sense? It's like if the Fed say, okay, we're doing rate cut here, it's like it's going to tell us how the market's probably going to play out the rest of the year. It doesn't seem fair sometimes. It just doesn't seem fair that we can make this much money. Friends, take care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.